Alright guys, what we've got today is the 2017 Honda CRF250L dual sport bike. They did do a few changes on it for 2017 compared to the 16 model. And also for 17 you have a new model variation of the 250L, so you can get it with or without anti-lock brakes. Then it also has a new cousin, the CRF250 Rally. If you want to check it out, you can click up in the top right corner of the screen and I'll have a description, or I'll have a link in the description down below too. We'll do a quick walk around, go over some of the specs and features and changes on it. And what we'll start with first is up front on the brakes. It has a single 256mm disc with a single twin piston caliper. And it has a single rear rotor in the back as well with a 220mm rotor. Tires, you've got a 3x21 up front and a 120 by 80 18 in the rear. Some of the 2017 CRF450R plastics and graphics carried over to the new 250L. Just look 1,000 times better in my personal opinion. When it comes to the engine, this is where they made most changes at. And it's still the same 249.6 cc liquid-cooled single cylinder engine, fuel injected. But for this year, it makes 24.4 horsepower at 8,500 RPMs and 16.7 foot-pounds of torque at 6,750 RPMs, which is up from its 22.8 horsepower and 16.2 foot-pounds of torque from last year. When it comes to the engine changes, they did a 2mm larger throttle body, new airbox, new muffler, a larger exhaust head pipe, and ECU. And in the rear, it's got a single Pro Link shock. It's right at 9.4 inches of travel. And also, speaking of suspension, I forgot to mention up front, we've got the same 43mm Showa front forks this year that are carried over. And they have right at 9.8 inches of travel. And it did get a new tail light for 2017 too. Still the same 6-speed transmission and the same gearing from last year as well. Seat height this year is right at 34.4. It tips the scales right at 317 pounds. The fuel tank is a little larger this year. It's 2.1 gallons instead of 2 gallons. All your controls are still the same. Another change they did this year for 2017 is on the gauge cluster. They put a tachometer, which was much needed. Honda hasn't released the exact mile per gallon ratings on the new 250L. But the old 250L from last year was right at 73. It'll be interesting to see if Honda still rates it at the same, even though it does make a little bit more horsepower and torque. It only comes in one color. The price did go up a little bit for 2017. It went up right at 150 bucks. Went from an MSRP of $49.99 to $51.49. And if you go with the ABS model, it's an additional $300, so it puts you at $54.49. And just to recap on the changes real quick, a 2mm larger throttle body, larger fuel tank, new air box, new muffler, larger exhaust head pipe, ECU, gauge cluster, tail light, and the plastics. If you want even more detailed specs on it, it's just hard to go over everything in detail in a 3 to 4 minute walk around video, but there'll be a link to my detailed review at HondaProKevin.com in the top right corner, as well as the description down below, and also break down all of the changes a little bit more in depth too. But, what do you guys think about the changes this year? Personally, I think they hit a home run. I would love to see him throw the 300 engine, from the new CBR 300s, make it a CRF 300L. But that's just my opinion. But what do you guys think? As always, thanks for checking out the video, guys. And if you would, hit that like button and comment below. Let me know what motorcycle you guys would like to see next. Thanks again, guys.